Folks, it's the Tuesday edition of College Sports Now. We got a lot going on. Look, I come into the office because I got work to do. Like, I don't just host CSN. That's not my job, okay? There's other things that I have to do that require me to be inside of an office. If you listen very carefully, you might hear a fire alarm in the background, okay?
It's pretty.
So here's what we're going to do.
Fourth co-host today.
I'm going to try my best to clean up this audio. I will be muting my mic when I'm not talking. The voice you heard is Roddy Jones from ESPN, friend of the program, kind enough to join us here. There's no fire alarm at the Jones household. The doctor is in. We got a lot to get to today. I'm stressed, man. I don't need this stress. Like, I'm trying to do a podcast, and we got a fire alarm going on in the background.
It's all good, man. It's all good. We're here. It's Tuesday.
I have confirmed that this is not a test. Like, we don't know why there's a fire alarm going. So if you see me leave, you guys just run the show. I'll leave the recording going. Hopefully the laptop doesn't melt, and we will be able to, keep the archive for posterity's sakes. Here's what we got coming on. Tony Barnhart, friend of the program, is going to come by in about 5 minutes. We got to talk SEC. I don't know if you watched Georgia, Alabama on Saturday night, Hot Rod.
I did.
Great theater in Tuscaloosa. Phenomenal stuff. Yeah. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about everything else going on in the top 25. Real quick, you had a front row seat to Clemson, Stanford this past weekend. Tigers looking pretty good, dude. They look pretty healthy.
Yeah, they are. They're very good. I think this is a top 10 team, to be honest with you. And the crazy thing to me is if you look at the AP poll, look at the teams that are ranked in front of Clemson, okay, that have one loss. Not overall. But
call out the frauds. Let's call them out. Let's call out Michigan. Let's call them out.
It's not even fraud. I'm not even talking about like on the field fraudulent teams. I'm gonna hit you with some facts, okay? Clemson. Who was Clemson's loss to? Remind me. Who was Clemson's loss to again?
Georgia.
There it is. Georgia. You've got a Michigan team that lost to Texas. Okay. You want to rank Texas above Georgia? That's fine. Michigan above Clemson? That's fine. By the transitive property of whatever you go through. That's fine. USC lost to Michigan. Ole Miss lost to Kentucky. LSU lost to USC. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. All of them are ranked above Clemson. Riddle me that, dude. Like, riddle me that. The AP poll. I know it's not one person doing this, but it doesn't make sense. Like, the AP poll having Clemson as low as they are is ridiculous. But yeah, Clemson looks good. I want to take this time because I spent the better part of 2.5 days in the upstate of South Carolina. For everybody who's listening in the upstate of South Carolina, like, bless you. For everybody who's listening in Western North Carolina, the devastation there has been incredible. So I hope this gives you a little bit of solace. I hope this gives you a little bit of relief because I saw some of that damage up close and personal. Our hotel didn't have power the entire weekend. There's no hotels in Clemson because it's homecoming. There's no power. Or there's spotty power in Greenville. There's no power in Anderson. So, like, if you wanted to have a hotel with power, air conditioning, if you want to have a power with hot water, or if you want to have a hotel with hot water, you had to drive to Commerce, Georgia, or Athens. Like, those were the closest places where it was reliable. I ended up driving home both nights. So I stayed there Thursday night, tried to beat the storm up there. Power went out Friday. I drove home Friday night, stayed there, drove back up for the game, and then drove home after the game on Saturday because there was no electricity in the hotel, period.
Heady play by you getting that mileage, Roddy. Heady play by you.
Yeah, we'll see if the mileage gets approved by my Disney approver. But being up there were like it upset everybody, upset everybody's routine. Stanford got in. They're supposed to get on Thursday. They got in Friday night. Clemson's team hotel didn't have power, so they sent their guys home. Like, they didn't have anywhere to stay. They sent their guys home the night before the game, which is way different than what happens usually. It feels very much like a scrimmage, and then they brought them back in, and they just stayed in the facility all day, which is just such a disruption to routine. Obviously, we had the game. There's been some controversy about the game being held, but I just wanted to say, like, yes, Clemson looked good, but like, in that part of the country, there's a lot more going on than ball. and my thoughts and prayers and just like my heart goes out to all those people, because some of that devastation is just awful.
Yeah, well said, and I'll echo that, because where we are in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, as the fire alarm continues to ring in the background, we're about 60 minutes from Boone. We're about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Asheville, and the roads are closed. You can't even get on I-40 past Statesville to go up into the mountains, to approach the mountains, unless you're an emergency vehicle or you're part of the recovery efforts. It's awful. It's bad. It's probably worse, frankly, than is being reported, because there's still hundreds of people as we record the show on a Tuesday that are unaccounted for. We heard from some folks on Saturday that were listening to the Blitz because they had no power. Like, they were literally, they couldn't watch TV. They were listening because that's all they had. And I feel for all those people. I used to go to summer camp in Lake Lure. Lake Lure is...
Yeah, dude, we Jackie
gone.
and I for 5 years in a row would rent a cabin in Hendersonville, and we would spend a lot of time in Chimney Rock, a lot of time in Lake Lure.
Yeah.
And that place is gone.
Yeah, it's tough. Asheville's underwater right now. I know that obviously they canceled the football game in Boone. App State's on the road this weekend at Marshall. They don't have a home game for another couple of weeks, but it's dire. It's really bad. Not just the college football stuff, the life part. As those towns are still underwater. So, yeah, I'm with you, Roddy. Well said. That's a part of the country that needs our thoughts and resources, frankly. If you're able to donate, if you're able to contribute and do anything, American Red Cross, I mean, there's a ton of places out there that are trying to help out locally. So that's well said. Let's put a pin on that for now, because I want to bring in our man Tony Barnhart, Mr. CFB, kind enough to join us early on a Tuesday morning. Tony, great to see you. Great to have you on. We saved the SEC talk for you, buddy, because I wanted to tee it up. Like, what you saw on Saturday night in Tuscaloosa, Georgia, Bama. I mean, get your popcorn ready. That was phenomenal theater. What'd you make of those two teams?
They're two of the best two teams in the country. It was just an incredible football game. I decided not to go to Tuscaloosa. I watched it from what I call Vizio Stadium, which is right here in my office. My wife was screaming at the TV. It was just an incredible night. And why do I get the feeling these two teams are going to meet again?
Yeah, maybe two more times. And I hope for college football's sake that we get that. Tony, why can't Kirby Smart beat Alabama? Like, we thought it was a Saban thing. And now Kalen DeBoer's there, and maybe it's a Jalen Milroe thing mixed with the Saban thing. But why can't Kirby beat Alabama?
Yeah, Roddy, I've never given a whole lot of credence to, you got a mental block or they've got your number. No. Alabama beat Georgia because they've got really good players, and number four, guys. I know this is scary to think about. Jalen Milroe is only going to get better. He's going to thrive in that offense under Kalen DeBoer, and it has. I think you have to give Georgia a lot of credit, because it would have been real easy down 28-0 on the road at Tuscaloosa. It'd been real easy just to take your foot off the gas, but they kept playing, and give credit to Kirby Smart. He didn't lose his cool either.
What did you make of the comeback effort? I mean, Georgia retook the lead there briefly in the fourth quarter for a play until Alabama got it back. But if you're trying to spin this from the Georgia angle, yes, you lost. You wake up this morning, you're still in the AP top 5. I'm just kind of curious your perspective, what you saw from Carson Beck, despite the interceptions, the ability to kind of lead that team offensively in the second half. But what did you make of that aspect, Tony?
Talk about a tale of two halves. Carson Beck. Okay, Carson Beck looked disjointed. He didn't have any confidence in what he was doing. Then all of a sudden he got in the second half. He got into a rhythm and was just phenomenal down the stretch. So it's really, for both of these teams, obviously it's a great win for Alabama, but it's a good building block for Georgia. I mean, there is no Brock Bowers, there's no Ladd McConkey, but there's enough players on that team for them to do really, really well, and it's going to be interesting to see. Oh, by the way, they got to go to Ole Miss. They got to go to Texas. They got to play Tennessee and Athens. Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, we sort of looked at Georgia's schedule and thought, okay, Georgia's better than all of those teams. They'll be fine. And then you look up after a loss, and I still think Georgia's probably better than those teams. Maybe not Texas, but the margin for error for them has gone down at least a little bit. I think they've still got plenty. I want to go to Oxford, where Kentucky really, I don't know if exposed is the right word, but got after Oklahoma. Got after Ole Miss's offensive line, and obviously they win the game. What do you make of Ole Miss after that game on Saturday?
Well, Kentucky is a team. People thought the 13-12 win over Georgia was some kind of collapse of Georgia. No, Kentucky. It's like basketball, guys. The team that makes Kentucky wants you to play at their tempo, which is physical, mouth mash, possess the ball, only give them like 56 plays, stuff. And if they made Georgia play the game, Georgia didn't lose. They found a way to win the game. Same thing here. Ole Miss wants to go up tempo. They want to throw it 40, 50 times a game, but Kentucky made them play at the speed that Kentucky wanted to play, and it was a good job of coaching by Mark Stoops. And when Ole Miss gets in these kind of games, they are not a power running team. They don't run the ball when they have to run the ball to protect the lead, and in this case, it came up and bit them.
And now they got to go on the road to South Carolina with that aggressive, defensive front there. I mean, Williams-Brice is going to be rocking like it always is. So yeah, you wonder if Ole Miss can kind of right the ship. I will give you your flowers here, Tony. We did our show in the summer, Battle for Atlanta, on the SEC Radio Network, and you were like, "Watch out for Kentucky. They're going to get somebody." I don't know if you picked them as the third or fourth best team in the SEC, but you said they had the ability to wreck someone's season, and as 18-point underdogs, they won in Oxford on Saturday.
Yeah, and I felt that if Brock Vandagriff gave them something at quarterback, they would have a chance. So we'll see where they play from here. But that was a really good win for Mark Stoops and the Kentucky Wildcats.
It really was. This week is a little bit less enticing, other than maybe that Ole Miss South Carolina game. It sounds like Lenore Sellers is going to be back for South Carolina. How dangerous are they against Ole Miss this weekend?
I think dangerous because they just like Kentucky, they want to play physical. They want to take those guys up front and just beat you to death with them, and that's what they did against Kentucky. I mean, that was one of the more confounding scores we saw all year, is what South Carolina did to Kentucky, and I think they're absolutely capable of doing that. Ole Miss is going to be a threat if they can score in the 30s. Get them in the 20s, it's a different deal.
Tony, I've been trying to tell these guys for the last month that Tennessee is the best team in the country. And after watching the Georgia-Alabama game, maybe I'm pumping my brakes a little bit on that. But do you think they're on the same level? Is there any validity to my take here?
I do, and they've proven that over the last few weeks. I thought Tennessee was a good team. I asked somebody real close to the situation. I said, "Tell me this: if Nico turns out to be another Hendon Hooker, are we looking at a playoff team?" And the guy said yes. And so far, Nico has played very, very well. Brew McCoy, and here's the kick. Here's the kick on Tennessee. It's not the offense, boys and girls. It's the defense. All right. Rodney Gardner is telling people, the defensive line coach at Tennessee, Rodney Gardner is telling people that this may be his best and deepest defensive line ever for him. And that's saying something. It's really all about the defense. As good as the offense is, it's really about the defense.
I want to ask, before I ask you about, Tony, some of the more disappointing teams in the SEC this season, of which there have been a handful. What's your take, looking at the schedule this weekend? Missouri on the road at Texas A&M. Aggies have handled their business since losing to Notre Dame week 1. Missouri has handled theirs, but, I mean, they haven't looked that impressive against inferior opposition. Vandy took them to overtime. They had to come back to beat Boston College. A&M's favored against Missouri in Kyle Field on Saturday. What do you make of that one?
No, I like A&M in this game because they first of all, Mike Elko has brought an element of toughness into that program that frankly did not exist under Jimbo Fisher. Sorry, Jimbo, they just didn't, and everybody in the program knew it too, and so that is an issue right there. My question for Missouri is, can they match Texas A&M's toughness? And I like Brady Cook. I like, obviously, they've got a great wide receiver and on and on and on. But I like Texas A&M in a tough physical football game in College Station.
Steven's going to get into some of the disappointments, and I hope I'm not taking some of your shine when I ask this question. What do you make of what's going on in Auburn? Because obviously the quarterbacks turn the ball over like it's going out of style. They lose 2 games at home that they had a chance of winning against Arkansas and Oklahoma, and even Cal back in week 2. Now they're on the road at Georgia, on the road at Missouri, on the road at Kentucky before they come home and play Vanderbilt. This thing could be 2-6 before you get another win. What do you make of what's going on at Auburn?
Well, you looked at before the season. You're Auburn. You look at that schedule where you open with 5 straight home games. You go, hey, we're going to come out of this pretty good and get ready for the stretch. Well, it didn't happen that way. The thing about Auburn, guys, is that Auburn, as a friend of mine used to say, they play just well enough to get beat, and that's Auburn. They play well enough to get beat, and you had to feel for Hugh Freeze, because after everything they went through the week before, you get in this game last Saturday, and they're not turning the ball over. They're playing exactly the way Hugh Freeze wants to play, and then you get to the end of the game's on the line, and frankly, it was a bad call, and the quarterback did not throw the ball where it was supposed to be thrown. And that was so you make one critical mistake after 56 minutes of quality play, playing the game exactly the way you want to. You make one critical error and you lose the football game. And so it's going to be tough. But you know what? Hugh Freeze told everybody that it was going to be several years to rebuild this roster. And but bottom line, they've got to get better quarterback play. I mean, you can't get by with that kind of quarterback play, and you can't turn it over 5 times.
But to Roddy's point, Tony, that's kind of on Hugh Freeze, right? Like in this day and age, like you hitched your wagon to Peyton. You had a chance to go out there and spend some money, bring somebody in. You didn't do it, and now you're throwing your quarterbacks under the bus.
If you haven't remade your roster in 2.5 to 3 years, then that's on you, head coach. It's all about that. And yeah, and I know I've talked to him many times when he's frustrated. I understand that, but that's a delicate. You better, your quarterbacks better love you, because you start throwing them under the bus, it gets a little dicey. So we'll see. I got a feeling they're going to play well down the stretch. I don't have a feeling they'll play well in Athens on Saturday.
Yeah, and the soap opera at Auburn, right? Like as the world turns, like that place.
Yeah, like that's never happened before.
Yeah, they love the drama there on the plains. They absolutely do. I'm curious, Tony, just like what's your take when you talk to folks down in Gainesville? Like Florida's off a bye week. They did not fire Billy Napier going into the bye, but everybody seems to think it's not a matter of if, but when. Is there anything that he can do to save his job down there?
I think it is. They've got to play well down the stretch. At this point, I don't think it's a matter of numbers. It's how well they're playing, because the future looks bright. I was told before the season, if he can find a way to survive this season, things down the road look pretty good. We've got our quarterback of the future. We got the facilities part completed and all that. So I don't think it's a fait accompli that he's going to get let go. Now, having said that, you cannot get embarrassed at home the way they've gotten embarrassed at home. That should not happen. So we will see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Texas is on a bye. They sort of stumbled through the win against Mississippi State. Mississippi State's probably 16 out of 16 in the conference. Right. So, I mean, you can stumble through it.
Careful now. The last guy that said that got in trouble. So.
Who was the last guy that said that?
If Hugh Freeze said if we played Arkansas 9 more times, we'd win.
Oh yeah, 9. I did remember that. Which, like, I did that game, Hugh. I don't agree that you'd beat them 9 times.
Arkansas is better than you think. They really are.
I mean, because here's the thing with Coach Freeze. Like in some of those games, Arkansas doesn't turn the ball over, and Taylon Green probably throws it well, so you lose those games. But that's neither here nor there. But Texas, like, where are you on Texas, especially when Quinn Ewers comes back?
Yeah, I like Texas a lot. Really, team they've got so much speed, and they're playing really, really good defense. Texas is a very good football team. It is going to be fun when Georgia goes to Texas. That's going to be it'll be one of the all-time tickets at the University of Texas.
It's also the same weekend that the U.S. Grand Prix is going on, Stephen. The F1 race down at Circuit of the Americas. Right. One of the most anticipated races on the calendar, Stephen.
Oh God, no one cares. Like literally,
I have heard more than one hotel horror story where Airbnb rooms and all that got snatched out underneath because somebody was willing to pay more. It's crazy.
500,000 people at Circuit of the Americas over the weekend, Stephen.
That seems like an exaggerated figure, Roddy. Let's circle back on that in October. That seems like an exaggerated number. Tony, always appreciate the time. Thank you for hopping on with us at Mr. CFB on Twitter. Tony Barnhart, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Take care.
There you go. That's our man, Tony, one of the better guys when it comes to covering the SEC. And that's good stuff, man. Like, I was thoroughly entertained Saturday night, man. Not because I was rooting for Bama, rooting against Georgia. Like, I just wanted to learn about both of those teams. And guess what? Alabama's better than everyone, thought they were going to be this year under Kalen DeBoer.
I don't know.
Come on, Roddy.
I certainly was not on the Bama's going to win the national championship train, but I did think there was a possibility that they could remain good. What?
Yeah,
it's okay.
I think they're a surprise. I think you could label it as a surprise.
It's okay to say that we underestimated Bama. It's okay to say that.
That's fine. I mean, that's fair, but it's degrees. Like, instead of being a top 5 team that they were voted preseason in the polls, they're a top 2 team. Like, I mean, sure, they're a surprise, but like a surprise by degrees. Alabama was like, I mean, I don't know if everybody had them in the college football playoff, but most people did. Most projections that I saw had them in. If you'd have asked me my college football playoff, it would have had Alabama in it. Now they're just going to get a bye because they probably win the league if they can beat Texas in the championship game.
Yeah, it's still not a I mean, it's still a rough road for Bama the rest of the way.
Road.
I think Georgia's
margin a rough road.
Georgia's margin has gotten pretty interesting, knowing that they still have to go to Texas, they still have to go to Ole Miss. Tennessee,
yeah, but that trip to Ole Miss doesn't look nearly as daunting. And Tripp's been on Tennessee. I am not there on Tennessee yet. I'm just not. And to be honest with you, it has to do with their offense and their complementary ball. Like, against the 2 teams that Nico Iamaleava has played that have a pulse, he's turned the ball over twice in each of them. Like, that is worrisome. And in the Oklahoma game, they downshifted. Yes, because the defense is good, but like, it's not in Josh Heupel's nature to completely downshift the way that they did offensively in any game. Like, he's not going to go conservative if he trusts his offense. Hendon Hooker and that crew didn't go conservative. Now, the defense wasn't nearly as good. So it was a good coaching job by Josh Heupel to say, hey, look, let's back off, all this stuff. And this was last week, so it's old news. Let's back off. But some of that has to do with the fact it's like, Nico's a little reckless sometimes. He's a little reckless. If he cleans that up, dude is special. And he's special when he's not turning the ball over. But against Georgia on the road, right now, I don't know if you can trust that.
But in this new 12-team era, 11-1 in the SEC, you're fine. You don't need to be in Atlanta.
Oh, dude, 12-2 in the SEC and you're fine. I mean, a 10-2 in the SEC and you're fine.
It depends on who the 10-2 is. If Missouri goes 10-2, I don't think they're getting in.
No, well, okay, hold on. If Missouri goes 10-2 with losses, let's say at Texas A&M and to Alabama, they're getting in the playoff. They're in. The thing is, dude, you run out of teams. Like, you run out of 10-2 teams. There were, like, when we went through the thing, I think there were 3 10-2 teams, 4 10-2 teams that we had, like, from 8 to 12 or 9 to 12, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, 2 of those will get left out. But like, if one of them's 10-2, Penn State with losses to the 2 good teams that they play, is that going to get you in over Missouri? I don't know. It all depends, but I tend to feel like a 10-2 SEC team is pretty much a slam dunk. Unless Notre Dame somehow sneaks in, and then that throws a wrench in everything.
Yeah, well, there's the Notre Dame factor. We have a special guest joining the show at 9:15. Roddy, what? I don't want to spoil who that special guest is, but somebody who really wanted to talk ball with you is going to join the show in about 15 minutes from now. So I just want to put that out there. I'm okay with you being caught off guard, but I do want to at least let you know that there's going to be another voice entering the chat here in about 15, 20 minutes. Other takes from the weekend. Utah picked up a loss at home. The Cam Rising thing. Guy didn't play.
Dude, don't Cam Rising me. Nope. Don't Cam Rising me. Cam Rising ain't playing until he plays.
I
don't
saw
wanna
a
hear
great I saw a great stat on Cam Rising. I'm going to pull it up real quick. But Arizona, who I was not impressed with through the first 4 weeks, went on the road, beat Utah in Salt Lake City. Utah doesn't lose games in Salt Lake City. Like, that's just not something that happens. So the Big 12 race has been flipped on its ear. You got Iowa State sitting out there undefeated, BYU sitting out there undefeated.
Who else
Like,
is undefeated?
That thing's going to get spicy.
Who else is undefeated? Who else is undefeated in the Big 12?
In conference play or overall?
Colorado.
Here we
Defeated
go.
in conference play, 2-0, atop the standings. Like, seriously though, I'm not joking at all when I say this. I'm not joking one bit. I'm not joking. Can Colorado make the championship game?
The Big 12 championship game.
And when you say no, my question is, why can't they?
That November stretch. I mean, that's a tough close to the schedule for Colorado.
Okay, talk to me.
I was very impressed with what I saw against UCF on Saturday. All right,
Hold on, talk to me about this November stretch, because the November stretch that you're talking about at Texas Tech, Utah, at Kansas, Oklahoma State. Texas Tech and Kansas stink. Texas Tech is slightly better than stinks, and they're undefeated in the conference. So let me take that back.
Go to Lubbock,
Sorry.
though. Like,
you do have to go to Lubbock. Kansas stinks. Oklahoma State at the end of the year doesn't look intimidating.
Doesn't look intimidating right now. I understand that, but that's a tough place to, like, we can't just say, well,
Oklahoma State they get on the road.
Lubbock,
No, they're at
Stillwater,
home. They're at
check,
home. They're at home against they're at home against Oklahoma State.
Talk to me about Kansas State, though.
They don't have to. They get Kansas State at home next week, and if you can assure me that Kansas State, number one, isn't going to turn the ball over, which they may not, and
Can't
two,
assure you of that.
They can stop Colorado. Like, this is an interesting matchup because speed wise, Kansas State can't stick with Colorado. Now, the question is, can Colorado contain Avery Johnson? But I think this is an absolute shootout. And this is next week, late game. It'll be tons of fun. But, like, look, man, after going to UCF and winning the way they did,
yes,
I don't think you can count Colorado out, dude. I really don't, because I don't think there's a single team on this schedule that can maul them up front the way Nebraska did. You got Kansas State left. You got at Arizona left. You got Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, at Kansas, and Oklahoma State. Maybe Utah has that level of advantage up front, because you need a significant advantage on the lines of scrimmage in order to neutralize their significant advantage everywhere else, which is like the skill positions. And I don't know that anyone in the Big 12 has it, which means I'm kind of feeling like Colorado is a contender in this league. I am.
Well, as of October 1st, they are. Like, that's the beauty of this, man. We got a long way to go. But I was of the belief when Colorado was sitting there 1-1 after getting, frankly, kind of pantsed against Nebraska. And you saw them week 1 against North Dakota State, and when we talked about, the lines of scrimmage aren't better. Well, in the last 4 weeks, it feels like they've gotten better, okay? There was a Dallin Hayden sighting in Orlando. Didn't see that one coming, okay?
No show in America talks more Dallin Hayden than we do.
I've been a Dallin Hayden guy for 4 years, all right? I've been rooting for Rutgers football for 8 years. It's finally coming to fruition, man. It's my time. So I think, yeah, you're right, Roddy. As of October 1, Colorado in the mix. Let's pump the brakes, man. I'm
just saying, like I kind of poo-pooed on Texas Tech, thinking that I was reverting back to my preseason Texas Tech feelings. Texas Tech is still, like, if you're 2-0 in this league, why aren't you a contender at this point? Because this league is so wide open.
The Big 12 is wide open. Yeah,
I mean, in terms of contenders, I think you could go BYU, Colorado, Texas Tech. They're the 2-0 teams. Iowa State, Arizona, still in the mix, obviously, at 1-0. West Virginia is a contender. I don't think UCF's completely out. Kansas State and Utah not completely out. I mean, I think you could kind of consider Oklahoma State dead and buried right now. Not entirely buried, but they're like 3 feet under, not 6.
This does feel like the league, though, which when we talked in the summer was going to cannibalize itself. Like, yes, somebody's getting the auto bid. But, like, how many teams from the Big 12 are really going to make this field? Right.
One. But that doesn't mean that we should just discard it. This league is going to be insanely fun.
Listen,
like, it's going to be great.
We saved the discard talk for Wednesdays when Wayne Cook hops on. Okay, that's when we save the trash in the bin. Okay, we'll save that for Wednesday's show. Okay, But yeah, I'm with you, man. Colorado looked awfully impressive.
Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite in the Big 12 right now? If I had to
Iowa
put your
State.
feet to the fire,
Iowa State. I just think. I mean, these guys are they're mean, dude. They're mean.
Yeah,
they played Iowa, and once
that's
they
the
got
only
that
team.
win,
It's the only team they've played.
They
Iowa.
kind of yeah. Look. We can have this discussion. All right, we saw ranked teams, we saw undefeated teams play somebody with a pulse over the weekend and get humbled. Louisville, Ole Miss.
Louisville didn't get humbled. Louisville, well, it was always going to happen to Louisville. Like, did you watch the Georgia Tech game? Louisville scored a special teams touchdown and a defensive touchdown. They won by 12.
I understand.
You take away the 2 non-offensive touchdowns and they lose by 2. Like, of course they're going to lose to Notre Dame. And honestly, I thought after Notre Dame got up 21-0, Louisville, like, those 2 teams were equal after that. They were like, Louisville woke up, was like, okay, let's play. And so I thought Louisville was fine over the weekend. Like, that was, and plus the ACC does not win at Notre Dame. Doesn't happen. I don't know what the win streak is now for Notre Dame at home against ACC teams, but it's insane. It's ridiculous. Notre Dame beats every ACC team that they play in South Bend.
I want to get to the stock report, which we will, because I know the doctor did his homework. But you brought up the ACC. You did the show on SiriusXM on Monday with Wes. What in the hell happened in South Florida last weekend?
Yeah, so this is one of the picks that I had that
I mean, Cam Ward reverted back to being a turnover machine. I mean, there was that.
You got Cam Ward, and everyone is lauding Cam Ward after that performance, but you saw the other side of Cam Ward, and to be honest with you, like, some of the wow plays that he made, the chest pass that everyone's talking about, Heisman moment. I think that moment by itself is a Heisman moment, but when you put it in the larger context of how reckless he was during the entire game, like, it's hard for me to get excited about that play when that play during the chest pass very, very easily could have ended in a defender's hand, just like popping up in front of the ball ending up on the ground, and then it being just another one of the awful plays that he made during the game where he turned the ball over, was it twice or 3 times? And then, like, had another couple that were like dicey.
Yes.
So
can
look,
you imagine how good they would be if Graham Mertz was their quarterback?
Oh, Jesus.
Nobody's talking about
because this is what we're going to do. Yeah, but because of what happened in week 1, you're going to be trying to trash Cam Ward for the rest of your life.
Cam Ward,
because this is
the guy had turnovers and it almost cost his team a game in which they were favored by nearly 3 touchdowns.
but like that. I mean, that was going to be a tough situation for Miami anyway. They're favored by multiple touchdowns to a team that's better than their maybe not better than their record, because I think their record's probably about right, but better than the line would suggest. And it's a rivalry game of sorts. Like, it was a Friday night. Weird stuff happens.
Sure.
Yeah, but, like, is it a rivalry game? It is, I guess. Like, when you got to go old Big East rivalry, like, we're not talking about a Big Ten rivalry that they've played for 100 years. We're talking about, like, these 2 teams used to be good in the same conference, and now they're in the same conference, and they both stunk.
I don't know what voice that is.
I don't know either.
Look, it is a rivalry game. Is it the greatest rivalry in the ACC? No, but I mean, it's in the mix. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So Miami got to win. Like, sometimes you're going to have to win ugly, and they won ugly. It doesn't look great that thing went to the replay center in Charlotte where they decided the game, literally decided the game. Yes. Overturn or stand was going to decide the game. Doesn't look great. I do think they arrived at the right call. I don't know how you overturn that on replay, but I also don't know how you call that a touchdown on the field. So I feel like in a backwards way, we ended up at the place that we should have ended up at from the beginning, which is Miami winning the game because that wasn't a catch in the end zone. But that whole sequence was just weird because it happens and then they shoot the fireworks and Miami's celebrating. And then they signal touchdown and Virginia Tech is celebrating. Then they're like, everybody off the field. We're reviewing this thing for 7 minutes. Oh, by the way, Miami wins. And then Brent Pryce left to sort of pick up the pieces of his broken emotions. So I don't know how, like, it's just a sloppy ending. You don't avoid it other than, like, even had they made the right call on the field, you still have the review. It's just the nature of replays. But can I stay on a Miami thing real quick?
Yeah, they got to go to Cal on Saturday night. They better be ready, man. Justin Wilcox as
Game
an
day.
underdog is dangerous.
It's not. Is he dangerous? I don't
Yes.
know. We'd have to look at that.
I'll look at it right now, big guy.
Yeah, please look at it. I if I were Mario Cristobal, I would be livid about this game time. Livid. Because there are two nightmare scenarios for the cross-country travels. There's one nightmare scenario for both ways. If you are going from west to east, did a lot of talking with Stanford this week. If you're going from west to east, the place that I arrived at in talking to them, they didn't tell this to me, but if you're going from west to east, the one time of game that you cannot stay on Pacific Coast time, the one game time where you have to switch to East Coast time is a noon game, Eastern time, because it's a 9 a.m. game Pacific time. You have to switch to Eastern time. Like, you cannot stay on your body clock.
Washington at Iowa next week, noon kick. Just set
It's
that
Central
aside.
time.
Set that aside.
That's an 11 a.m. local, so maybe you adjust it, but it's not as big. It's not as big, and the flight's not as long. I do agree. That's a challenge. But when you go all the way to Eastern time, like, I feel like you have to switch. But yeah, I guess that's an Eastern time kick. So, but Central, yeah, they're gonna have to switch. But the one game time where you have to switch if you're going from east to west, you could stay on Eastern time for every single kick time except the 10:30 Eastern time kick. You have to switch to West Coast time. You can. I've been out there multiple times since June. Once for a wedding, once for a game, and let me tell you, I never got adjusted. Every single day I woke up at the latest. I woke up the 6 nights that I've spent 3 hours difference from my time zone. The latest that I woke up was 4 a.m. That was the latest, 7 a.m. Eastern time. And then you try and go back to sleep and you're like broken napping and it's just weird. Most days I would wake up at like 2:45 or 3.
Golly.
Because that's what time we wake up here. Like, it's 6 o'clock wake up Eastern time. I'm not saying these guys are all on that schedule, but if you're a morning practice team, I don't know that Miami is, but if they're a morning practice team, those guys are in the facility by 7. That's 4 a.m. Pacific time. So they have to go out there. They have to adjust their clocks so that you are waking up at a normal Pacific Coast time to play a 7:30 local kick, because otherwise you can't do it. You can't have your guys waking up at 7 a.m. Eastern time when you've got a 10:30 Eastern time kick. It just can't happen. So I'd be pissed if I was Mario Cristobal.
By the way, #research, Justin Wilcox as an underdog. Now, this is an even greater margin when it's a double-digit underdog. He's 30-15 through 8 years in Berkeley.
Against the spread or
Against
straight
the
up?
spread
Okay.
as an underdog.
What is he straight up?
30-15. Like, man, I'll work on that, okay?
Well,
I'll
like
work
you
on
say,
that.
he's dangerous, and then it's like,
He's
okay,
dangerous.
well, that
Dangerous
mean?
to cover.
He loses closer than he was supposed to.
Miami's not going to cover the spread on
Miami's
Saturday
not going to
night.
cover this spread. Absolutely not. I completely agree with you.
It's a dangerous spot.
Cal plus the points is the move for everything that I just talked about. Miami is going to be sluggish, dude. Like, no one really cares about our travel and all this stuff and whatever. Like, it is what it is, and I'm not complaining about it.
I care, Roddy. I care.
But there are people who are doing games that the late game, the 10:30 Eastern time game, every night on ESPN. Most of the time, that crew that does it, Osweiler, Fleming, Stormy Bonatoni, they all live on the West Coast. But that game is produced out of Charlotte, which means those people in Charlotte are starting at 10:30 Eastern time and then going till 2, 3 in the morning. So, I've talked to some of those people, and they're like, dude, it's the reason that it's hard is because, like, you want to nap, and, like, if you have kids or whatever, like, you can't nap, or maybe you try to and it's just not. But by 1 o'clock in the morning, you're just making dumb mistakes because you've been up for like 17 hours straight, just living life, like not even working the whole time. So you make dumb mistakes. So Miami's gonna have some of that, man. And who knows what the crowd's gonna be like. I actually think game day being there hurts the crowd because game day is gonna start at 6 a.m. local. That game's not till 7:30 in the after. These people don't know what to do. They're gonna be so high and
Drugs.
so.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you clarified that.
Not the right kind of drug. Like, that's the kind of drug that doesn't get you to 7:30 p.m.
Yeah. They need to hurt
They
the
have
nose.
different strains, right?
I mean, look, Trip. That's
indica, sativa. I mean, some of that stuff gets
I
you
don't
hyper.
care what. I don't. But not for 12 hours. And let me tell you, indica is going to put you to sleep. Sativa will get you going for like indica in the couch. There you go.
Yeah.
Sativa will get you to like maybe noon, but like you're going to need a nap and a lot of snacks.
I'm so glad that we
You can do some Adderall.
Of all places. Yes, there's also that, which is apparently the most widely abused drug on college campuses these days. Adderall.
There's a reason, because it
That's
works.
what I've been told. You
right,
know what?
So I'm sorry I spent all of our time.
No. That's okay. We have a special
travel.
we have a special guest who has entered the chat. I told you that we had a special guest lined up. Let's bring him in. Our man Michael Felder. At In the Bleachers on Twitter. Felder wanted to talk ACC football. We got it here, Felder. So we've been talking about Cal and Miami
Ranting
and what
about
that
Miami's
scene's going to be
travel.
like in Berkeley.
Dude, I'd be
on Saturday
so mad
night.
if I was Miami. I'd be so mad about the 10:30 Eastern kick.
Dude, that stinks. But you got to look at it on the flip side too. Like how frustrated are the teams that have to go cross country twice?
Yes, I completely agree. And Stanford's travel got completely messed up. The thing is, though, dude, and I was saying this before, if it's not a noon kick and you're going from west to east, then you can stay on Pacific time.
Yeah.
If it's not a 10:30 Eastern kick and you're going from east to west, you can stay on Eastern time. Miami's got to switch. Like you have to switch to Pacific time, or your guys are going to be exhausted.
You got to get out there early. Like you have to. You have to. So I wanted to ask you one, Florida State, and I'm glad Tripp's here. What are we going to do with them?
I'm not,
because they don't get to be upset. And obviously we saw that the talks have been reopened about, oh well, what if we did this different? But bro, SMU came in there and just went to work. So let's what are we doing with that?
Dude, I don't know. So I've got Florida State Clemson this week.
Oh wow!
Let's go.
And one of the things that we're going to talk about,
preseason,
dude, that's
a game that you had circled. You're like, yes, all right. And now you're like, they're going to get smoked.
I want to do this. I want to, like, my vision, I don't know if we'll execute it, but my vision is to do this like then and now. Like, let's go back in the way back machine to August 20th. Mm-hmm. Here's what the world was like on August 20th and like have it be exactly the same. Like gas was $2.83 a gallon. Now it's $2.84 a gallon. Like, you know what
I got gas for this weekend?
What'd you get gas for?
$189.
Dude,
I saw that picture.
Boy. Boy.
Fuel points.
Fuel points, baby.
But apparently DJU's not going to play. Like Thamel reported that he's not going to play. Mm-hmm. The thing is, though, man, like their offensive line has never been great.
Right.
Last year it was serviceable to good.
When's the last time it was good?
Probably Jameis, I would say.
No, they were bad then.
Were they bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I don't know. I got nothing for you. But they had draft picks with Jameis. Like, they had offensive line draft picks. I can't remember the names. But
guy that was the center.
Yeah. So I don't know. Then the answer is I don't know. But they're not very good on the offensive line. And I don't love some of the stuff that they do scheme-wise that doesn't help the offensive line.
Right.
The receivers aren't good. Although Hakeem Williams, like, I
expected more.
I did too. But my issue with Norvell's offense in these circumstances is his offense is meant to spread the ball around, get the ball to a lot of people. You dish it to, you dish it where it belongs to go, where it should go. They don't have that many guys that are impact players, so I think you should force feed a couple of guys. Ja'Kai Douglas doesn't get nearly enough targets. He's their best player on offense right now, and it's not particularly close. Right. The tight end position has been abysmal for them. Like the tight ends stink this year. They are awful, and it's not just the drops, lock doc. It's the blocking too, because when you put the kid in, the kid 18 in, who's a better receiver than Morlock, although he had a drop too. You put the kid 18 in, who's a better receiver than Morlock, and he's a terrible blocker.
Well, like young. He looks like what he reminds me of is young Briningstool.
Right. Yes, it's exactly what he's like. Like you can't even put him on the backside of zone to cut off because he gets beat across his face. And you're right. Like Briningstool was that, and now he's serviceable, so that guy will grow. But like, dude, the thing is, thinking about this going forward, like they're going to be bad this year. The fixes are not there. They should be better, but the fixes aren't there. But even next year, like they're going to lose the whole offensive line going into next year. So you're going to play a bunch of guys. I mean. maybe not, but you're going to have a bunch of guys that haven't played for you. So you're going to have to portal the offensive line, which doesn't work. We've seen it.
Yeah, we've seen that.
You're going to have to portal a quarterback unless somehow Brock Glenn or Luke Kromenhoek, who we haven't seen, are the answer.
Well, that was the thing I wanted to. I was like, because I know we have Tripp, who's a Florida State guy. Tripp, I want to give you some space, but if they thought they had a better option than DJ, wouldn't he have already been in the game before DJ got hurt?
I would. So maybe not. I am. Tripp, I want you to jump in here because I feel like if they had gone to DJ 2 games ago, like you can't go back. And so you're kind of experimenting, and the downside, I don't know what the downside is, but maybe you're thinking, all right, if DJ can just not turn the ball
They're
over,
on the downside.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think, well, my thought was this: if they were winning and it didn't look good, you'd stick with DJ. Like if you're still winning and it's not looking like it's supposed to look, you would stick with DJ. But if you're losing like they're losing, you got to pull the trigger. And so maybe these guys just aren't ready. I don't know.
Yeah, but my thing on Brock Glenn, and we'll see him this weekend.
Sure.
And I hope he plays well. But
he will.
Look, Brock was the reason as a true freshman that they didn't make the college football playoff. If we're being like really like boiling it down to soups and nuts.
Because of the 2 games that he played against Florida.
Of the
he played one. He played one.
1.5. Vandegrift got, or Rodemaker got hurt in the second half of the Florida game, and he played that. But like the start against Louisville where they didn't have a first down in the first half.
Right.
And that was an offense that had Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman and Trey Benson and Toafili was still there. Now you're putting him in this offense that has none of those guys, an offensive line that's regressed, and you're going to expect him to go out and win you games. I just don't know, unless he's taken a massive step forward, which maybe he has.
We brought this up, like, again, I think that was – I don't think Brock is a total bum or anything. I mean, he was like a 4-star guy coming out of high school. The Louisville game,
guys don't pan out.
I think I know. The Louisville game we talked about, like in Florida State's mind, they had to be thinking, just get past this game and we're in the playoffs. I don't think they even allowed Brock to do it. I mean, they were running Wildcat, stuff like that. I think they were just playing it as conservative as they possibly could.
But they started going to Wildcat because they could not pick up a first down. Like, that's the thing. I understand the conservative nature of the game plan, but there's no game plan that's like, we'll be good if we don't pick up first downs.
Well, to Felder's point, though,
first downs are touchdowns. First down, you get a first down, then you get another first down, then you get another first down, you get another first down, you get another first down. That's the entire. This is. I don't mean to deviate, like to dive to deviate off the path, but literally talking to my kid, she's 6. And she asked me about football, and I said, it's kind of like Army, where you advance, and then you secure that ground. Mm-hmm. Everything behind you belongs to you. And if you can't advance, then you better be making explosive plays, immediate strikes that get you into the end zone. If you can't do either one of those things, which is what we're looking at right now, then you can't win. And by the way, speaking of Louisville, Steven, you were right. I also wanted to say that. Steven was right about Louisville. Steven was also right. Who else were you right about, Hartzell?
That's probably about it.
It's not.
No, there's one more. One more. Ole Miss.
Yeah, it's tough.
I wanted to do it early because I didn't want to wait until Friday, but I wanted to say that. But go ahead, Hartzell. You had something you were going to say.
No. I just look. The Florida State thing, like we've been talking about it a lot. Like, it comes down to coaching, doesn't it? Like, doesn't Norvell need to accept some responsibility for the situation that they're in right now?
Have to.
Responsibility, but also it's not just responsibility. There's accountability, and I think those are 2 different things. Accepting responsibility is like, yes, this is my fault, but accountability, at least to me, and maybe I don't understand how the English language works, and you're an English major, Steven, so I don't know. Like you can help me out with this. But accountability to me is recognizing where you've fucked up and finding a way to fix it. And that's the part to me that is like, you can tell me you're sorry all the time. You can tell me that you your college girlfriend cheated on you and you're like, she's like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay, so you accept responsibility for your mistake.
That's relatable.
Now I need accountability where you show me, show me that this won't happen again and show me how you're going to fix it. And that's the part to me that is more important than just saying sorry. Sorry doesn't mean anything. Sorry don't cost a dime.
The Norvell thing is interesting, man, in terms of the accountability and the responsibility.
Right.
Because I think that, we sort of anointed him as the portal king. And I'm not saying that was wrong to do. Because obviously it was insanely successful. But this is where the high school recruiting, I think, peaks its head. He is not recruited at an elite level.
Yep.
In high school. This is per 247. Like, his 2021 class was 21st in the country. His 2022 class was 19th in the country. His 2023 class was 16th in the country.
Falling off.
Well, it's actually getting better. But historically, in order to compete at the top level of college football, you have to recruit top 10 classes. His 2024 class was 11th in the country, so better. Now, some of that's been thrown into a little bit of flux because of the portal.
Yes.
Well, the portal 2 years ago. So a lot of the guys that started on last year's team were portal guys, but most of them were multiple year portal guys. Tatum Bethune had been there multiple years. Jared Verse, Johnny Wilson, Jordan Travis was a Taggart era transfer portal guy that had been there for multiple years. Deuce Spann, who wasn't a huge contributor, but like player. You had a couple of the offensive linemen, Dimitri Emmanuel, Casey Roddick, both multiple year transfers, guys that had been in the program. But he buoyed that with 4 top 20 transfer portal guys. Fintrell Cypress, Keon Coleman, Jaheim Bell, Braden Fisk, all top 20 portal guys, all massive contributors for them last year, with the exception of Jaheim Bell. But like, he allowed you to not have to play.
When you bring those portal guys, in,
he was underutilized, I thought.
Yeah. When you bring those portal guys in,
but then those portal guys leave, and you're having to rely on the high school recruiting because the highest rated portal guy that they brought in this year was 38th. The highest rated was 38th, and that was Marvin Jones Jr., who has been spotty at best.
Up and down.
Showed up at the end of the Cal game. There's stuff in the run game that I don't love. The pass rush isn't consistent. But that's what you get from the 38th best portal guy. So I think what we're actually seeing is the true level of this program from a high school recruiting standpoint without the top end transfers.
When you're
and it should be better because of the quarterback, but yeah.
Roddy, it's in Tallahassee. It's you can get to Georgia. How long does it take to get to Georgia from Tallahassee?
Hour, 45 minutes.
Wait, Georgia, the university?
No, the state.
No, the state.
Yeah, like an hour. 45
It's right there. You got the rest of Florida sitting there behind you.
Yeah, and they've had big time commits. They just can't keep any of them.
They've had they get away.
When you bring kids in over them from the portal, it's hard. What those guys? You think they're going to stay? Why would they?
Travis Hunter, Florida State commit, right? Correct?
Yeah.
It's probably better that Cormani McClain didn't show up, but Cormani McClain was also a Florida State commit at one point.
But it's wild. I had one other thing though before because I got to hop off. The Virginia Tech Miami situation.
Well, part of it.
The end of the game, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching, I think it was CBS, and they're talking about like conspiracy theory and all this and all that, and I just am, as a defensive back, I think it was the right call.
I do too. That was my thing. Like, I don't know how you overturn it on replay, but I also don't know how you call it a touchdown on the field.
Bingo.
So we arrived at the place that we should have arrived at. It does not look good.
6 minutes.
6 minutes is a long time, and it does not look good that it goes to Charlotte to decide.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't look good at all. When they are literally deciding the game with your undefeated hope versus a brand of a program, but not undefeated, no hope.
Right. The team that lost to Vanderbilt.
He said
the team that lost doesn't look good that
Yeah.
the administrators of the ACC are deciding that.
But yeah, I truly like, and I guess we can reverse. We can go back to like the null, like you mentioned hope, right? The Knolls were supposed to be the hope.
Yeah.
And I'm taking notes from Trip. What am I doing?
I'm just dancing on my grave.
Here's the thing. To me, right now, it looks like Clemson is the class of this league.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm not. I just want to make sure I wasn't crazy saying that because it feels like Clemson's.
I mean, I don't know if you're if how you feel about it, but I think you could argue Miami is still right there, if not above them. Because if you put those two teams in a game, Clemson's defense has not been awesome. Like they've been really good at times, but not super consistent. Stanford moved the ball against them a lot.
Yes.
Some of that was circumstance, I think. So I give them a little bit of grace.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a team that for 40 minutes was like they well, I guess it doesn't matter because Georgia's not that good either, are they?
Are you that out on Georgia?
I'm not that out on Georgia. They're going to make the playoff, I think, but they've got they have the hardest path to the playoff of any team in the country.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm not that out on Georgia. I am kind of out on Carson Beck. Like I'm.
Yeah, what's the deal there, Felder? Like, what's going on with Bexy?
I just don't think he's that good. I just don't think he's that good.
You think he's overrated as a quarterback, or he just doesn't have the weapons around him?
I think he doesn't have the juice in him that we've seen from guys like Jake Fromm, Stetson.
You don't think he's the mailman more?
I don't think when he walks in that locker room, I don't think those dudes on that team think he has swag.
You don't think when he pulls up in the Lambo and gets out, you don't think those dudes are like, that's swaggy?
No, I don't. No, I think it's like, what is this point?
Hard not to be swaggy in a Lambo. I mean, especially a Lambo SUV.
I'm just saying, I don't think he like Jake Fromm's from Houston County.
Yeah.
Like that's he understands those boys. He understands those boys from the red clay. He gets it.
Where's Bexy from?
I don't know. Hartzell, can you
Tampa?
effort this?
Tampa kid? Jacksonville kid? He's a Florida guy.
Yeah, he's from Florida.
Where in Florida though?
Stand by.
Hartzell effort that. But I'm just saying, all I'm saying is I just don't think that he has that same. Like Stetson had to get it.
Nobody can match Stetson.
Mandarin High School, Jacksonville.
Okay. I don't know anything about
Mandarin as a program.
Neither do I. So okay, so great. No one knows anything about it.
Might be close to Ponte Vedra. You know what I'm saying? Might be a little bougie. I don't know.
I'm just saying it doesn't look like he commands this
without knowing.
I don't know that he commands. All I'm saying is when I'm watching, he doesn't command that situation the way that I saw Fromm or Stetson command it. And I think that does matter.
Didn't those other quarterbacks have better pass catchers to throw to, though, Felder?
They have good guys.
They don't have Bowers. They don't have McConkey. I don't think they're,
I
at the
like
same level they were last
year. They don't
year.
give him the football enough, I don't think.
Delp?
He's not a great blocker, but I do think he's a good pass catcher. I think he's someone that they should probably flex out more, which speaks to their game plan situation. But we talked about
he looked
this.
Great in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. What about the other three?
I know. Yeah.
Go do something. Or here's the thing, let him do something. And so it just was watching that game was very interesting. But no, to take it back to the ACC, to circle back around. Last thing for me, Roddy, and then I gotta go do the Joe show.
Oh, nice.
So I'm gonna go hop on with Joe with the two Joes, Joe Ovius and Joe Giglio. So I got that in 3 minutes. But UNC dog, my text threads.
Let me because I don't have my finger on the pulse of the UNC fan base because they tend to be very quiet. They shrink away.
Yeah, they disappear
when the light's exposed.
Waiting until basketball, they're like roaches.
They scurry.
Right.
Yeah.
Are people having the MAC conversation, and how seriously are
absolutely.
they having the MAC conversation?
I don't know about people. I know about my old teammates. And absolutely, they're like, we got to get this guy out of here.
Yeah.
And that's like I get the Letterman email every week. They didn't even mention the game.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you're like, hey man, we got to figure something out because
Dude,
this
I hate
is
that so much. I hate it so much, but it's so true because like
you get texts from your old teammates.
I know, but like no, I'm not saying that it's wrong. I love Mac, and I love
He's a
Mac
nice
at
guy.
UNC, and
There's a lot to like.
I want him to go out the right way, and he deserves that. Like as a person, as a coach,
He didn't go out the right way at Texas.
No, he didn't, and he ain't gonna go out the right way here.
Yeah,
because we've got a quarterback competition in the offseason that goes right down to the wire, and so
we're a guy that's wasn't even involved in it.
Right, but we're led to believe that like, hey, we're good either way.
Yeah.
Max Johnson goes down. I'm like, oh, cool, quarterback competition. Like Connor Hale was right there. Connor Hale gets benched for Jacoby Criswell, who was in a quarterback competition with Drake May once upon a time. I don't believe that. But then goes to Arkansas, can't get on the field, so he transfers back, and now you're turning it over to this guy. I'm not saying he's a bum. I'm not saying that he's not. But like the quarterback competition thing, like it makes me feel like. And then the defense against James
that's
Madison,
the problem. They are bad.
But they were better last week against Duke until it mattered. Until they were up 17-0, 20-0, whatever they were
20, up. They were up by 20. You're up 20-0. And you can't close that door.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
You can't freaking call CP. You can't like literally like, and I wrote about it. I wrote about it. Like literally, you have to close the door, lock the door. And if you're a really good team, you know what you do? Boop, 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 boop. You set the alarm. Nobody's getting in this house.
Nobody.
And they couldn't even get to the part where they closed the door.
Manny Diaz and them boys got in that house, dude.
Right.
Party decks were alive. They were alive at Wally
They took all those televisions out of that house.
Dude, Felder, get out of here, man. Go do your show.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you got to go.
Hey, it's always good to talk to you guys.
Felder.
Y'all take it easy.
Anytime you want to come by.
Felder had so many takes, man. He couldn't even wait till Friday.
I couldn't, man. I couldn't wait.
Let's go.
You absolutely love to see it. Get out
Good to
of
see
here.
you, big dog.
Unbelievable, man. Love that guy. That's our man, Michael Felder.
That UNC thing is man.
Here's the thing. Look, we talk about this, or at least I like to talk about it. The margins in college football. UNC should have started the season 0-1, okay? Minnesota missed a 42-yard kick by about 8 inches week 1 on Thursday night. It's not my fault you didn't watch the game, but I did.
I did watch that game.
Get
the hell out of here.
Guys.
Minnesota should have won the game.
You were in Boulder.
100%. Why did PJ Fleck start playing for the field goal at the end? Like, that's on him.
Super conservative. Yeah, absolutely. Like, that is on him. But my point
is
in Boulder,
like, but I was watching that game.
UNC's sitting there at 3-0, and they're like, it's like the meme of the dude behind the tree, and he's rubbing his hands together. He's got the yellow jacket on. And then James Adams comes in there and steps on your face.
Yeah.
Chicago Bear.
I mean, look, it's tough, dude. It's tough. But we can talk about UNC because, again, it's going to happen. It's going to get ugly.
We don't need to talk about it.
We will in December when they're looking for a coach.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they need to go get the guy at James Madison.
You ain't wrong, bro. Bob Chesney would look really nice in some powder blues, man. He's already handsome. Put him in some Jordans. Good God.
He is a handsome man.
He's a good-looking dude. He's a good-looking dude.
But the thing about the ACC
Sean McVay's brother.
Yeah.
Vibes.
Is he?
Yeah, they look sort of.
I mean, they got the same kind of look going.
Sort of deal.
Yeah, man. McVay's more blonde, but I mean, they're just similar looking guys.
He's not the boys in Harrison. He just came from Holy Cross. He just got there. He's not them boys in
the
Harrison.
Water there. Look at me. I turned out okay. I mean, golly, I was there for 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Too much fluoride in that water.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of fluoride.
The thing about talking to every ACC fan base of like a mediocre team, they're all like, "Oh, we should be fine. We've just got Pitt and Georgia Tech and Virginia and Florida State and Wake Forest and Boston College and NC State. We should win at least 5 of those." And it's like, dude, all of those teams, with the exception of Wake Forest, are the same. Like, they're all the same. And Florida State, probably. They're all the same. Like, what's the difference between Georgia Tech, Pitt, Boston College, and NC State?
Yeah.
Shake them up and pour them out, and in whatever order they come up
in there. Don't put NC State in there.
The doctor, let's do this real quick because the doc has something on Pitt. He's high on the stock watch. The doc wants to buy Pitt stock.
I don't think NC State belongs in that. Yeah,
CJ
well,
Bailey.
quickly, can I do a little review really quick?
Please. Love
2
a good
weeks
review.
ago, gave you UNLV. They win as a 9.5-point dog
It's a good call.
against
Good
Kansas.
call. Real good call.
2 weeks ago, Tennessee, told you, no sweat whatsoever at Oklahoma. They went out there and played with their food for 2 quarters.
Yeah.
I said 2 weeks ago. And then last week, out of the clouds, who did I tell you about? UConn.
UConn.
Oh, God.
UConn
That was
taking on
we-
Buffalo.
We arrived at that was a good call. We arrived there.
I mean, it was a great call. 47-3.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
unsweaty as it can ever
Way
get.
to get right against Buffalo, guys. Yes.
Buffalo the week before won at Northern Illinois.
Doc,
Yeah,
what do you got for me?
yeah.
I want some stock tips for right now, okay? I'm
A
not looking in the
Northern
rearview mirror.
Illinois
I'm looking through the windshield.
And yet, I also told you last week to buy some Pitt. They're off a bye. They're at UNC.
Nailed that.
And I still think they should be. I'm just saying, like,
That's a
buy
coin
Pitt
flip
now
game, by
while
the
they're
way.
low.
Pitt,
It's a
UNC.
coin. Yeah, it's a field goal spread, but I like Pitt. I think they'll
That is
win
not
there.
a field goal game. That is not. That is not a coin flip game at
It's
all.
a betting
It's
markets.
literally a 3-point
Why?
spread.
How?
Talk to me
How?
about it later
Well-
then, Rodstra. I mean, come on, dude. You're coming off a nice weekend.
And it should have been a better one. There were some real good plays in there by me that didn't cash.
Okay, we'll save that for the end of the show. Go ahead, Doc. Give me some stock tips today, bro. Today.
All right. I can't give you Clemson or Boise because they're the top 2 plays on my board this week. Their stock's already too high to buy. You want some that's still a little bit under the radar? Not under Hartzell's radar, though. Navy. What do you think about Navy?
Love Navy.
-9.5 at Air Force. After that, Charlotte. Then a pretty big game comes up against Notre Dame. I think that could be a game. Not going to lie. I think Navy could give Notre Dame a game.
Well, Notre Dame doesn't blow out anybody because they can't score the football. So I don't disagree with you at all. That's going to be the shortest game in the history known to man.
I'm
So
worried
you
about
like
the
it?
situation down there in Birmingham, by the way, with your boy Dilf.
The Dilf.
Yeah. it's
What's
not-
the Diffler doing? What'd they do last week?
I mean, he brought his. So apparently, he got in trouble because his grandson wanted to come on the podium with him for the post game, and the SIDs are like, "No, don't." And he's like, "This isn't Alabama. Like, he can come up here if he wants to come up here. He can come up here." And that ruffled some feathers because folks are very proud of the football program down there in the Alabama Birmingham.
Yeah.
So they're like, "You
can
are
do that.
aware of this program's tradition?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know about our tradition. We're one
I
of
mean, that program doesn't have a lot of tradition. Let's not kid ourselves. They dissolved.
Bill Clark
They
had
just-
that thing rolling, dude. That's
Right.
all I'm
He's
saying.
the only one, and they dissolved the program for 2 years before bringing it back.
Well, you could argue that they're in the process of dissolving it again because the DILF is driving that thing into the ground.
The Diffler experiment at UAB is not going well. It's
And
not.
I got to stop saying DILF because that stands for something else that I'm not referring to when I mentioned Trent Dilfer. So let's
Dad.
move on.
I am friends with.
What else you got on the stock report, Doc?
Well, look, the next one really hurts me, but Indiana, who's just been a buzzsaw this year, a moneymaker, 4-1 against the spread, like really, really appreciate all the cash, but I think it's time to get out.
Oh,
wanna
we're
sell.
getting out on Indiana.
I think it's time to get out. They haven't beaten Northwestern on the road since 1993. Northwestern
they're going
plays
to
in
lose
that
to
weird
Northwestern?
belt. I don't think they're going to lose to Northwestern, but I don't think they're going to cover. And after that, the schedule just gets way tougher. I think this is the time to sell Indiana.
Here's the good news, though.
Dude, I don't
They
think you're
haven't
selling
won-
Indiana for another couple weeks.
They haven't
I'm
won at
getting
Northwestern
off
since
it.
1993, but guess what? On Saturday, they're not playing at Northwestern. They're playing at a temporary stadium.
Which is
on the
worse.
lake.
Which is worse. We've already talked about it. It's like literally next to the lake. I told you I can hit a 7-iron from the 50-yard line all the way into the lake. That's probably a 4-iron for you.
A 7-iron for you? I think it's like a 3-wood for you, but that's fine. We'll find out.
We're going to find out tomorrow. Yeah.
By the way, it's interesting. The Indiana situation. You're right. They've been just annihilating teams, but that is a 2-touchdown spread at Northwest. That's a little. I agree. I think that's buyer beware. I'm not ready to sell. I'm a hold on Indiana. I'm a hold.
What about Rutgers?
Oh, I'm holding Rutgers. Rutgers to the moon.
They're getting a field goal at Nebraska in a game that feels like they could probably win outright. And if they win that one, Wisconsin, I think that's a layup.
Roddy, did we or did we not
UCLA,
tell you about Rutgers
layup.
last week in this spot? We told you about Rutgers. We gave.
Yeah. What did I say about Rutgers? Did I not? Was I not in
Washington? And we were both.
Oh yeah. You guys are right about that.
Don't do it.
But you were like, from a team standpoint, I knew that Rutgers was a better team. I just thought in that spot. But then you guys are like, look, man, they're going travel, all that stuff. Like, go Washington. I mean, go Rutgers. You're right.
Here's the thing, man. Rutgers, like, that place was packed on Friday night for Washington. Bloomington was packed this past weekend against Maryland. You just love to see it, man. Like, I don't know about you, Roddy. I know you do this stuff on XM, and, like, everybody wants to talk about the same 12 teams in college football, and I get it. Those are the 12 teams that people care about. They buy tickets. You got the Walmart fans. Like, it drives the whole ecosystem, man. But it's cool to give Indiana love, Rutgers love. We're talking about
giving
BYU
Indiana and Rutgers
today.
a lot of love, and BYU. We had Kalani Sitake on yesterday.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. I'm happy for him. But I just, in general, like I like to come on this show and talk about teams that don't necessarily get, like, we opened with Georgia-Bama because it was the best game in college football this year. But still, anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off, Doc. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
No, that was my last. But I will close with this. Even though I've been on Tennessee all year, I still don't think they've peaked. You could probably buy a couple more shares of Tennessee.
I agree
They're
with
like
you on Tennessee.
NVIDIA.
I don't know that they've peaked.
I think
might
they're
peak
probably
Saturday
gonna.
because
I think they're gonna cover Saturday.
Arkansas's Taylor Green. As much as I love the guy, he is a walking turnover. Whether it's a fumble, whether it's a bad pick.
So
we'll say
that
Arkansas
defense is going to be teeing off on him.
What's the line on that?
It's like 10.
It's like
Arkansas.
I think
Arkansas
it's like
plays everybody
17.
close, man. Arkansas plays everybody close. You can say what you want about the turnovers. They probably won't be able to run the ball against Tennessee, which worries me.
Mm-hmm.
But if Taylor Green all of a sudden plays well, and this is the most mobile quarterback that Tennessee will have played, and he is incredibly mobile. But yeah, I don't hate that. Just, Arkansas plays people close. I don't know if they play Tennessee close, but they've played people
13 and a half. 13 and a half.
Yeah, it's pretty. That's big.
I think that's a good number. I think that's a good number to grab Tennessee
chunky.
right now.
That's chunky. I might be on Team Rodstradamus there too. I mean, if you're giving me 2 tutties, I may have to take it.
Well, I don't know if you're running out of money yet, but if you want to put another lunch bet on it.
Why would I be running out of money?
Because you're losing so many bets to me.
Please. I lost a bet.
I mean, you had to pay for that caddy bib, and now you've got it. You had to treat me to lunch yesterday.
The caddy bib is here's the thing. Now that it's in the family, I think you can squeeze into that caddy bib this time next year.
I don't know what that's going to look like.
We will save that for Friday's show because the 3-for-all picks starting to heat up for your boy coming off a 3-0 week. You love to see it. Roddy, what else you got from Week 5? You already mentioned that you're going to be in Tallahassee this weekend for Clemson, Florida State, which preseason, one of the ACC games of the year. Obviously, the Noles are 1-4. But I got it, man. Like, I know it was Stanford, and the week before that it was NC State. Like, I know Clemson's been just beating up inferior opposition, but it's hard not to be impressed with what Cade Klubnik and the offense are doing. I hear you on the defense. Yeah, but that offense is rolling right now.
The defense has been incredibly, like, it's been up and down, but it's incredibly talented. And NC State hit some plays on them. Stanford hit some plays on them. I think that they're going to get better. They need Peter Woods back, and they need Peter Woods back and to be a decent pass rusher because TJ Parker has been sort of neutralized a little bit because teams are not afraid of whoever is on the other side of him from a pass rush standpoint. they're insanely talented defensively, and they'll figure it out, I think. Offensively, though, to your point, Cade Klubnik's been so much better. He didn't throw the ball great deep last week, but before the 2 games before that, he had. And I think from a personnel standpoint, the offensive line is much improved than they were a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Much more physical. And from a personnel standpoint, they've sort of cured some of their explosive play issues. Phil Maffa's been more explosive at running back than that group was last year. The receiving core, especially with Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore, who played, I believe, a total of like 15 snaps against Georgia between the 2 of them, 2 targets between the 2 of them against Georgia. They were starting the next week. Like, those 2 freshmen give them an element of explosiveness down the field that they just didn't have. And it allows Antonio Williams to play the slot, which makes them more explosive in the slot too. They should get Tyler Brown back this week. I think he's been kind of banged up with an ankle. But Clemson's legit, man. Clemson's legit. And I think they're a top 10 team in the country, particularly when they can run the ball well.
Kind of feel like the stock doc should have gotten in on Clemson after the week 1 loss to Georgia.
Should've.
Kind of feel like that was a missed opportunity. Kind of like
I'm
buying
pretty
Nvidia
sure I
10 years
did.
ago. I don't know.
I'm pretty
man.
sure I did.
Maybe you need to keep those receipts, dude. I don't know.
Maybe
if
you.
I
Well,
don't
you
know
do
if you
everything else week by week, and you just get whatever, man. Yeah, whatever.
I love it.
I'm going to go back through the archive. I'm going to see what I said.
Please do.
After,
Yeah,
week
please
1. I
comb
will.
through. Please comb through those archives.
Should go through the archive.
We got some Rodstradamus updates here. Nice little 6-4 week. You had to
Should
have
been
it.
better, man.
Little bounce back. All right, well, let's evaluate this. You missed on Michigan minus the 9. I got to be honest, that one hurt because you had it, and then you kind of left the back door open. You could make the argument Michigan should have lost that game based on the onside kick recovery that was called offsides, but we digress. Louisville plus 6.5, you lost by a hook. Duke minus 2.5. That's
a tough one.
Yeah, that's
a
tough. Florida State plus 5. That's just a terrible pick.
That was a
really,
terrible pick.
There's really no other way.
bad pick.
I too thought Florida State might put up a fight on the road. You know, it'd be easier to play
That was
football
a bad pick.
when your fans aren't booing you. But yeah, the wheels fell off.
That was a tough one. We all have stinkers, but I feel good about the process last week. The process. I feel good about the process.
So 6-4 in week 5 for the season brings you back up. You're close to 500, 26-30 for the year. But you know, let's try to string together back-to-back weeks of positive selections.
So I've done a little research.
I love this.
There are 6 teams that have covered every single week this year, and there are 5 teams that have not covered yet. Those teams will make an appearance in the Rodstra, because if we're gonna go down, we go down with some research. You know what I'm saying? I getting Trip nodding. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Who's covered in every game this season? Reel those teams off for me.
UNLV.
That info.
Yep.
UNLV, Army, San Jose State, Marshall, Eastern Michigan, and Tennessee are the 6 teams that have covered every single week.
Who was that last one?
Tennessee.
Oh,
the 5
okay.
teams that have not covered yet: NC State, Air Force, Kansas, Kent State, and Wisconsin have not covered yet. So those teams will make an appearance, as you can imagine. All right, let's get rolling, though. I need skin in the game every single night. You guys know that.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, it's a tradition.
Let's go Troy plus the points, welcoming in Tejas State.
Troy's really bad, man. I know you know that because you
Defensively, they're not bad.
You were the Sun Belt King this time last year.
Defensively, they're not bad.
You know,
One
you're
does
on
not
the come
simply
up.
stroll into Troy, Alabama.
I feel like they do. 7:00 kick on ESPNU. There you go. That's yours. That is a televised game. Who's calling that game, Roddy? Do you know off the top of your head?
I would assume it's Matt Berry and Dan Mullen. That's
the Thursday night crew. Yeah, you're
my
right.
strong assumption. That game is not on ESPN, but my assumption is that
How tall is Matt Berry?
5'11",
No chance.
5'10".
I had him at like 5'4".
No, Matt. Did you not see us standing next to each other when we were doing games together? He's taller than I am.
I thought he was on a stool. Yeah.
No, Matt Berry's a tall. He's not
so,
tall, but he's an average sized person. Dan Mullen's about the same height. They're about the same height.
Troy plus 14. It's yours.
We'll take Troy plus 14 on the Thursday night. Let's go, Troy. Let's go. All right. On Friday,
Pretty loaded Friday card, by the way.
Loaded.
I'm looking at this slate, 4 games.
one of the teams that has not lost a cover yet, got to roll with them. UNLV minus the 6, welcoming in Syracuse.
I feel like that's too many here.
I feel like
favored
it's too many too.
against Syracuse.
I feel like it's too many as well, especially getting
Stop
ranked,
report.
teams that aren't ranked, all that. You know what? Flip that thing. Syracuse plus the 6.
Flip it and reverse it.
Golly. But
Get TCU.
my research.
You're getting Syracuse and a touchdown on the road, man. Come on.
But you're 9 p.m. Eastern time kick. Don't love that. Short week. Don't love that.
You're in a cavernous NFL stadium. There's no home field advantage here.
Don't
We all
love
know
that.
this.
Those are weird environments to go play in, dude.
There might be 15,000 Syracuse fans that make the trip, man. We don't know.
Are there 15,000 Syracuse fans?
I feel like there's a lot of Syracuse alums living in Sin City. No?
Sure. What do you have to go on? Like what why do you think that?
Just a hunch.
Just a hunch.
Just a gut feeling.
TCU.
That's right.
I feel like
Do
if
it.
you're a Syracuse fan, you circled this game at the beginning of the year. This is a road trip game. This is a destination spot.
Oh yeah,
Vegas.
This game
bunch of
wasn't
college
scheduled until,
students
like,
want to go to Vegas.
Son, trip. Why did
yeah,
your audio just
super
get
late.
so loud all of a sudden?
super late.
I'm
schedule.
So
It's the
excited
same
about
as the-
UNLV, man. Just get
I'm
so
excited about Vegas.
Okay.
There's also a couple of other plays that are smart on Friday. I agree with you. TCU minus the points. Also,
TCU.
Jacksonville State minus the points.
Okay.
Kennesaw State.
Are these official Rodstradamus selections?
I can't pick against Kennesaw State. They're right up the road. But I will put TCU. We'll put
Yeah, you
TCU.
can definitely pick against Houston. That's a great pick.
TCU minus 17. That's a big number, though. That's
Michigan State, do it.
No,
Michigan
I'm not
State,
doing that one. Not touching it.
that's a
Not
good
touching it.
pick. Oregon can't cover against anybody. They're terrible.
Yeah, Oregon is. I think Oregon's a one cover team. I think
They cost me a
they're
perfect week
covered
last
one.
week.
They did. That's unfortunate.
Sorry for you.
Yeah, I am.
No,
too.
you're not.
All right, let's go. Give me Duke plus the points late Saturday night at
No,
Georgia Tech.
It's not easy for you. Just out here buying the win. Duke plus
Buying
7.5.
wins,
That
baby.
does seem.
Iron wins.
That does seem like an
Seems
off
chunky.
line, does it
Seems
not?
chunky.
Yeah.
This is a Duke off a rivalry game, emotional response sort of line. I feel like
Is this
Georgia
the Wes
Tech
and
off a bye
Luke's
week.
game? ACC
Yeah, it is
Network,
Wes and
8
Luke.
o'clock. Man,
Yep.
home game for those two guys. Must be nice.
There's Wes and
I'll be
Luke.
honest. If I'm a Duke fan and I've got to listen to a Georgia Tech alum and the former voice of Georgia Tech on radio calling that game, I don't love that. I got to be
He's
honest.
also Woody Durham's boy. So
I don't love. If I'm a Duke fan, I know you're out there. I don't love that. I'm gonna be honest.
is what it is. You know,
Continue.
am what it am. I'm gonna go the opposite side of Tony Barnhart on this Missouri A&M game. I like Missouri to win the game in Kyle Field. They're getting 2 points. I'll take Missouri plus the points on that one. I will do that.
That's a stay away game for me. I'm gonna ask
Is
Phil
it?
about it on Wednesday. I'd
Should.
like to get his thoughts, but I don't need to have action on every game. I'm not Rodstradamus. I'm okay sitting this one out.
No, we gotta have skin in the game. One of the teams that is not covered yet and also stinks is Wisconsin. They are welcoming in Purdue. They are a 14.5 point favorite. So give me Purdue plus the points.
So
Hashtag research.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that was my
Hashtag
thought
research
with
trip.
Purdue
Hashtag
against Nebraska.
Nebraska's
didn't work
competent. Hashtag research.
Okay.
Purdue's terrible. Like I
Yeah,
agree.
they're not
That's
good, man.
probably the side, but dude, they are in the unbettable bin after what I saw them do against Notre Dame. When
Do
they
not
lost
shoot the messenger.
412 to nothing. mean,
I
that
have done
was-
the
Maybe
research.
maybe
Okay.
the under. Maybe
All
the
right.
under.
I've done the research. Virginia's a 2.5 point favorite over Boston College at home. How about that?
How do we
That's
feel-
just a
how
comment.
do we feel about that?
That's just a comment. I don't know if Castellanos is going to play. Is he?
I haven't. I mean, he
Uh,
can't.
it would
be.
appear
For that-
he's
for
not.
that- For that line to be where it is, I would have to agree with the doc here. How about let's root for Tony Elliott to get to 2-0 in the ACC? That would be cool.
Yeah.
It would be cool. Let's root for that, but we're not going to pick it.
Okay.
Calandria can be a little bit of a adventure, the quarterback position.
He is an event. That guy's 5'4". No doubt.
No, he's 5'9".
Please.
He is.
Teeny. He's a
Stood next to
child
him.
out there.
He is
He's
a
a child.
He's just a baby. All right. So this is an interesting one because Wake and NC State are playing each other, and I do not like Wake at all. But NC State has not covered yet this year.
Ugh.
Give me Wake plus the points, baby.
Don't
Hashtag research.
Don't
Let's
do that.
go. Let's go.
Dude, you were riding with some stinkers this
Let's
week, man.
go. Hashtag research, baby.
Dude, please listen to the Friday show so you can get some better picks than this.
I've done the research.
Wake Forest coming off a
I don't
home
like
loss
this.
to the Raging Cajuns on
They're
Saturday.
gonna lose, but it'll lose by a field goal. What do you want?
Both these teams are terrible. We don't have to watch.
Just not a lot of room there.
Research.
Citizens of North Carolina. There are other options. You don't have to tune
This
into
is
the
a North Carolina
CW
Roddy
at noon.
group. Tom Brenneman, Max Brown. Ride it. Wake them up. Wake them up, Forest.
Okay, got it.
Let's see. Air Force is on one of these lists. They haven't covered yet. They've got Navy at home. Give me Navy minus the points.
Stock doc.
I like that play. I do.
Duck.
Let me get a number here. Hang on, stand by. I got
9.5.
Yeah.
Yep, 9.5.
It's yours.
Yep. Thank you. Let's see. Let me Army minus the points as well. We're going to roll with both service academies.
We support
Both
the troops
good
here on
ones. We
CSN.
support the
Army
troops.
minus 10.5 at Tulsa.
Yep, we support the troops.
Did I watch Army Temple last week? Yes, I did. Am I
Mhm.
proud of that? Not
No.
particularly.
How do we feel about Ohio State getting 20.5 against Iowa?
I mean, I think Ohio State's starting to find their groove, man. Like I know what you're thinking. It's like, well, that's a big number. You got Iowa coming to town. They're going to limit the game.
They usually cover against Iowa, though, I feel like.
I think.
And you're
that's
saying
pretty-
they're finding their groove. They found their groove against Michigan State. Like, what are you talking about here?
That's
What are we doing?
that's the schedule, Roddy. Like that's
Yeah,
look,
they've scheduled
if
me,
you're
you,
playing,
and a lock
if you're
doc.
playing shit teams,
Jeez.
handle your
It's not a-
business.
Not
They
a
handle
easy
their business
schedule.
every week.
They didn't
52
handle
to
their
6,
business
56 to
against
0,
Akron. They didn't handle
59
their
to
business against
14.
Marshall. They didn't cover those spreads. They did not.
Jeez. Yeah, because
you go
the
on
spreads
the road
are
and you
massive.
beat a Big Ten team and you cover the spread. That's called handling your business.
Take the under. The under's it's 27-3 final score. Just take the under.
Just take the under, he says.
I'm not taking the under.
You want
An
Buckeyes
undertaker.
or you want
No, I
Iowa?
don't want the Buckeyes. I want to stay away from this game. I will take South Carolina minus plus the points at home.
I think that's it. I love that play. I love that play. They're going to be hanging around, man.
I don't
Lenore
know. Ole
Sellers
Miss
is
off a
fun.
loss.
That
Well,
dude is fun.
Lenore Sellers, not just that defensive line is going to give Ole Miss some issues based on what we saw last week. The thing is, South Carolina's going to have to hold on to the ball like Kentucky did. Kentucky had the ball for almost 40 minutes of that game. the other
Yes.
day. So
Yes. And I think Jackson Dart got exposed. Like that, he didn't play very well. And so if you're South Carolina, the blueprint is right there. I mean, Kentucky just gave it to you. They just showed you what to do. I think they'll be able to hang around. Yeah, good
Yeah.
pick.
Look, I really liked Stanford plus the points, but I don't think their quarterback's going to play, so I'm going to stay away from that game. But Stanford is a 8-point dog to Virginia Tech on the road going cross country. We need to keep track of now that ACC teams are starting to go out west because now they're back in school. We need to keep track of how these ACC teams do because that may be a trend that we like or we don't.
Okay.
Just saying. I'm just saying. I'm not saying
I
anything.
feel like you've got a team full of researchers
Stanford.
there at the ACC network / Disney who can,
not really a part of the
facilitate that
ACC
stuff.
network anymore. So like, they don't
but
use me for
My
anything.
point is, like the whole
leave
Charlotte
a lot of
connection.
stuff on the table. Just
Too
saying,
busy
I'm not
playing
salty about
pickleball.
it.
You're too busy out there just taking dudes behind the woodshed and pickleball.
No, I would gladly give that up if they wanted to. If they wanted to allow me to work for the things that they're paying me to do, but it's on them.
We digress.
We've digressed about the ACC network. Let's see. What are some other ones that we like?
Stanford.
You like Stanford?
Yeah.
Dude, their quarterback's not going to play.
It doesn't matter. Virginia Tech
does matter. It matters significantly.
Off that loss, Virginia Tech completely deflated, has to go all the way across the country.
Are they deflated,
Don't like
or
it.
are they encouraged that they nearly beat
I understand
Miami?
that.
They're deflated. What if they were undefeated going into the Miami game? They would just feel like, hey, we got robbed. We're still motivated. They're not. They're what, 2-3 now or something like that.
Who is Stanford's best player?
The IU Manor. What?
Alec Io Manor.
Right.
What position does he
IU
play?
Manor, wide receiver.
And if Justin Lamson's the quarterback and they cannot physically throw the football down the field,
Lamson's got a rocket. What are you talking about?
Justin,
I'm
okay,
just kidding.
I don't know what you're basing that on. It's going to be straight quarterback run all day long. He fumbled on the first 4th down of the game last week. Like,
Well, they've had several days to coach him up.
he started for him last year, and he got benched.
Clearly, he's
'Cause
a
Ashton
Stanford
Daniels is
student
better.
athlete, Roddy. He's a smart guy.
He actually started at Syracuse. So
I feel like maybe
not
this
that.
is my NC State pick a couple weeks ago, and you just buried it, and maybe I just need to change my mind. So I'll pump the brakes on Stanford.
I'm just saying, State. I don't know that you jump as head first into that one as you're jumping, because Stanford's quarterback's probably not. He left Clemson in a boot.
No, I just saw it.
So,
Looks like a big number for a team that.
I agree. And under normal circumstances, I'd be with you. The defense is salty.
I see a number out here that's just egregious.
All right, hold on. Let me peruse.
UConn.
No, do I give Roddy a bite of the apple, or do I save this for Friday's show? You know what?
Go ahead.
You don't have to take it, but I'm looking at JMU at UL Monroe. JMU should not be favored by 17 points. Like, that's a little aggressive, guys.
Why should they not?
They got Coastal coming to town next week for the Thursday night standalone game. You got to make a trip to ULM.
No,
Coastal's
I don't know,
not
man.
Terrible.
Coastal's
ULM's
a great
not very
play
good.
this week.
You just told
game.
You just told me that Troy stinks. They beat Troy 13-9. They got beat 51-3 by Texas. They beat UAB and Jackson State. I don't know that I'm buying this whole.
It's all about it's about JMU getting the showcase game next week. Your boy will be on the sidelines for
the
that
spot.
One,
it's about the spot.
It's awesome.
I got to get a feeling for Friday's show. If anybody wants to
that.
guest host the show, just reach out to me on Twitter or email.
I'll
do it.
Triple do it.
Trip, you're already doing it.
Give me Arkansas minus the points.
Plus the points.
I'm sorry. Tennessee minus the points.
You want Tennessee minus 13 and
I
a
want
half?
Tennessee. Yep.
God, you've been listening
Research.
to Trip too much, man.
Haven't lost the spread.
I love
yet.
the pick. I think that's a great number, 13.5. They're going to cover. I think you're going to see a big game from Tennessee here.
Yeah, it's crazy. The teams that Tennessee plays, like, they don't have players on scholarship. It's crazy. Like, they're just they hang 50 on everybody. It's incredible how that works.
I'll take San Jose State minus the points. Yeah, I don't know what he's saying.
San Jose State.
And then I'll take Cal plus the points.
This is a big card for you, buddy.
San
Jose State minus 7.5 against Nevada, not Nevada, Nevada. And then what was that last one?
Cal plus the points.
Ooh, that line's dropping. It's already down to 10.
No. I see 10.5.
No, it's 10. It's 10. I don't know where you're going. You know, I don't use Bodog. Okay,
actually,
did you not take Georgia Tech? I thought you were on Georgia Tech.
I took Duke. You take Duke.
Took Duke. Okay.
You take the opposite of Georgia Tech.
6, 7,
okay.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
What? Can I ask a question?
13.
Why?
Baker's dozen.
Why would you not take Clemson? Because that looks like the most obvious.
Because I'm doing the game, dude.
Yeah,
I can't pick the games that I'm doing. There's some integrity here.
Just like Herbie at game day, man. You can't pick the game that you're calling.
Can't pick the game you're calling.
It's not allowed.
I'm not sure that Clemson's the right side of that to be on. I think this is a close game, tight game, down to the wire. Tune in, 7 p.m. ESPN Saturday. Check it out. Make sure you're tuned in to every single snap.
Could you text me what you really think?
That is what I really think. What are you talking about?
Yeah, listen, Roddy's got to he's got to get his tie clip game ready. He's got to,
I haven't worn a tie clip at all this year.
You got to get on an actual plane this week. I mean, have you forgotten how to fly? Are you still going to be okay?
Yeah, I actually thought about driving this, but no, I'm going to fly it.
You should, man. I'm telling you, the mileage is where it's at, dude. That way you get in, get out. I mean, you're parking right there, like next to the TV truck, right next to the stadium.
It's a 7 p.m. game, which means I would have to drive back Sunday morning. I'm not driving back after the game. The 2-hour drive after Clemson was enough for me at 12 o'clock at night through the back roads. Dude, no one wants to drive through the back roads of South Georgia.
Do you not have high
getting to
beams on your
75?
car? You don't have brights? I mean,
Do you
unbelievable,
not have
man.
deer in North Carolina?
Yeah,
like
we
the
got a
deer
lot
don't
of
care
deer.
about the high beam.
Yeah, we got a lot of deer, man. Deer
Than
eating
pangs right in
Yeah.
front of your car.
You don't
What's going on, big fella?
Yeah, you don't.
Get out of here, deer.
Get out.
5
Scram,
hours home
deer.
after the game.
Go
Absolutely.
on, get. Thanks to Tony Barnhart for hopping on the show. Thanks to Michael Felder for crashing the show. He had some ACC takes, man. We had to get it in. We couldn't wait until Friday. Good show, and Roddy, safe travels down to Tallahassee this weekend, the state capital of Florida. Okay.
Yeah, I have to remind
Not
myself
everybody
that.
knows that. That's a good trivia lesson.
Yeah, I
capital.
suppose it is, but it doesn't
Not
feel
everybody
like
knows.
it. Go a
Okay,
lot
yeah.
of state capitals
Don't
that you don't
poo-poo
feel like.
Don't poo-poo Tallahassee.
It's not even a top 5 city in its own state. It's
Wow,
not.
that's a take, man. At Roddy Jones 20
It's
on
not.
Twitter. For
Look,
those
people
that-
in Tallahassee
There's
know
a
that.
lot of good
I mean, you
places.
got
in Florida.
Miami, you got Tampa, you got Orlando, you got Jacksonville. Hell, you got Daytona. You got
Destin,
Fort
big
Lauderdale,
Destin guy here.
St. Petersburg.
the whole Panhandle. St.
At
Pete,
Roddy
yeah, it's a good one.
Jones 20 on Twitter for Florida.
May not be a
folks.
top 10, especially if we split up the Panhandle. It may not be a top 10 city in its own
Come on,
state.
man. Just
Tampa's
saying.
big
put the piece
pickleball
away,
city
man. They're
too.
calling the cops.
They know that.
Put the piece away. For
Fort
Roddy Jones,
Myers.
for the Lock Doctor,
Myers,
Trip
good one.
Hurd, I'm Steven Hartzell.
Sarasota,
We will talk to you guys on Wednesday.
Pickleball Central.
Key West.